Oh God! Oh what? Okay, it's episode 4 of the Joe Pontillo show. We did it. I was gonna have a guest, but having a guest on the last episode really wiped me out. So here we are. Also, keep getting comments about the bricks as often as I can. There will be fake bricks. This is my personal guarantee. What a day it's been so far. This is probably going to come out for a few days, but I'm recording this hours after the great New York City earthquake. Well, it was like 2 seconds. So I was actually supposed to do another podcast this morning at 11 o'clock, and I set my alarm for like 9:45 and 10. Blew past both alarms, and then all of a sudden the building started shaking at about 10:20, and I was like, what's happening? What is this? It's over. Because, when your building shakes in New York City, you don't immediately think earthquake. Your first thought is, oh, is this my plumbing finally exploding? Or the boiler? Or construction that's insanely close to my building for some reason? Or is it just the NYPD dance team practicing on my roof? The possibilities are endless. But then I quickly realized it was an earthquake. And of course, what you do in these situations when something crazy happens, you go on Twitter. And it's really the best use of Twitter is you open it up and you just type in. I didn't even have to type it in. Literally the first 10 tweets were all like, is there an earthquake in New York? Is there an earthquake in New Jersey? Is there an earthquake? Earthquake.com for more info. And so yeah, it was real and reminds me of the last time New York City experienced an earthquake, which was I think 2011. This is when my bedroom was in the living room back in the day, and the shaking of the bed woke me and my girlfriend up, and our TV was wobbling, and she goes, "Can you stop that from falling?" And I was just like, I guess. But it never fell, and I never got out of bed. So it was fine. But yeah, these earthquakes, man, I don't know. They were warning us about this solar eclipse that's coming on Monday. And take mass transit. These are the signs that are all around New York City. Solar eclipse, April 8th. Take mass transit. Why? What if it's an epic solar eclipse and we find out all the trains are run by solar energy? Oh my God, millions of people are now stuck underground. That's what they want. So I'm not doing it. In fact, I'm going to try to leave town. I got some of those solar eclipse glasses, and I will be selling them after my shows this weekend to concerned audience members who are buying into the fear-mongering about the solar eclipse. But yeah, that's a good way to start the day. Everything's just shaking, and you don't know what to do with yourself. I hope that's it. But if not, you know what? It'll give us something to talk about. Anyway, yeah, Joe Pontillo show. It's here to stay. I told somebody I'm going to do at least 5 to 7 episodes before getting really discouraged. First of all, thank you to all the people who have been watching, commenting. I'm genuinely annoyed. No, I'm touched, honored, whatever. I had no idea what I was doing when I started doing this, but I was like, you know what? I'm just going to talk for 25 to 37 minutes, and we'll get to it. We had a fun show this week at Broadway Comedy Club where some of my super fans showed up and were in the front row. They're not only my super fans, but they also made me the sign about a year ago, which I finally put to use. And they now are my merch people. They've been printing t-shirts for me. And they made some of their own t-shirts. I guess we're going to throw some pictures up here. That say, I know Joe Pontillo. Joe is my bro. And also, Ho Pontillo, whatever it is. Anyway, that might be my next t-shirts. So stay tuned for that. My current t-shirts that I sell after shows say, I've been canceled by Joe Pontillo, which most people find very funny. there was one person who comes to my show at Michael's in Island Park who was very angry, but she also finds me so funny that she put her anger to the side, um, just to Can we get a picture of that? And when I said a picture of that, I of course meant a picture of the woman who really hates the canceled t-shirts. But she bought one of my OG Joe Pontillo shirts, which simply say, Joe Pontillo Live. These were shirts that my dad just made for me back in like 2007, 2008 when he sold his business and he decided I'm going to give my son t-shirts. But I recently discovered I still had like several of them left, so I decided to throw that to my merch bin because even when I'm getting paid well to do comedy, I still need even more money just to make everything make sense. Speaking of which, if you've been enjoying the show, feel free to donate. I have all my financial info, listed below. God, money. Whatever. Times are terrible. Gotta pay for these t-shirts. Or you can just buy a t-shirt. I've been canceled by Joe Pontillo, which were made in early 2020, just before the pandemic happened. I sold 2 shirts and then didn't really do comedy for a year. So I just had all these shirts. But they're pretty good sellers. I also had shirts that said, I saw a Joe Pontillo comedy show and all I got was this lousy t-shirt. And then there was the Joe Pontillo Live shirt. And then the next one we may have come up with. Or I'm going to do stickers, or I'm going to sell earthquake insurance after shows. Haven't really decided yet, but yeah. So woke up this morning to the earthquake, which was good because I had to do this podcast with this guy, Tim. He has multiple last names, apparently. On Instagram, he's Tim Cambridge. But he has different names, I think. And very good guy. He came to one of my shows when I was at Bonkers in Orlando. And at first I thought he was just some lone audience member who came who really enjoyed comedy. But he's a big fan of comedy. He kind of does comedy. He writes stuff. He produces things all around the country for a good cause. So give him a follow. I'll drop his Instagram handle there in the comments or the caption, whatever. What is this even on anymore? YouTube, Twitch, Discord, Fortnite? I'm not even sure. It's baseball season. And what the hell? If you know me at all, you know that I am a rabid Mets fan. And it's a problem. It's one of those things where there should be a way to have like a class action lawsuit against whoever made you a Mets fan. The Mets started the season 0-5. Just what the most normal fan base in baseball needed, having their team lose the first 5 games at home. It's one thing if they did this on the road. They did this at home in front of their fans. They did finally win yesterday, the second game. What a nightmare. The problem with the Mets is they often win opening day. Like they're like known for winning opening day and then having the rest of the season fall apart. So when they don't win opening day, it's like, whoa, what is this? I have nothing now. I don't even have opening day. The one thing that was guaranteed every year is gone. So Mets fans are the most psychotic people on earth. I think sports fans in general are psychotic. Mets fans all hate each other. I have probably a group of like 20 to 30 mostly dudes who are Mets fans on Twitter who just freaking despise me. I don't know why. I know why. I used to be a pretty heavy like sports tweeter back in the day to the point where it annoyed other comedians. Most famously JL Cauvin. You might know JL because he's big with the impressions. He does the Trump and he'll just do an impression of anybody, and he's great at it. Angriest guy in comedy. If you think I'm angry, oh boy, you gotta spend 20 minutes with him. But yeah, I remember he actually would unfollow me during baseball season, and then follow me back after baseball season. I was like live tweeting games. I was yelling at, people. I was arguing with fans and then yelling at people who like work for the team. At least 3 players have blocked me. Marcus Stroman blocked me, and I said something very benign about him. I was just like, and this was like 2019, so this was actually kind of recent. But, Michael K., who hosts the Michael K. Show, who are these people who name shows after themselves, blocked me, and I don't remember why. I think in 2012 he said something that, like, the Mets were going to lose 110 games or something insane. And, like, they were bad, but they were not that bad. So I think me and a bunch of other fans just kept, like, trolling him every day until he just blocked us all. But joke's on him. I guess. Maybe. I hope so. But while I regret most of my sports tweeting back in the day, now I'm at this point where I'm like, should I go back to the sports tweeting? Because I think my problem, why I never really, like, blew up on Twitter, despite having many things that have gone not viral. I mean, I've had tweets that ended up in the Washington Post, the Daily News, the New York Times, MTV.com, ESPN.com. What has it gotten me? Nothing. I'm doing this show. So, but where was I even going with this? Doesn't matter. Oh yeah, now I'm thinking, should I just go back to the sports tweeting? Is that what people want? Because I think the reason why my Twitter never really blew up is, like, I don't stick to one thing. I'm like, sports, politics, comedy, movies, Marvel, whatever, just bouncing around. Same thing with my videos on Instagram and TikTok. I think this stupid algorithm thing that we're all trying to win its affection of wants us to just stick to one thing. Like, oh, this person does multiple things. Yeah, can't have that. We're not putting them in the feed. That's basically what's happening. So I'm trying to fix that to an extent with this show. I'm going back to the basics. I did a YouTube special, and now I've got a YouTube show where maybe something will come of it. I don't know. I've gotten more subscribers on YouTube in the last 14 months than I did in, like, the previous 10 years. Which is great, but it's still not enough. Working to, like, 500. Give me 1,000. Start making some real moves. I think the saddest thing with YouTube is years ago, when you first got on YouTube in, like, the mid to late 2000s, there weren't a ton of people on YouTube. So no matter what you posted, it would get thousands of views. And in fact, I was able to monetize some videos for a while. But you wouldn't get paid until you reached $10 in ad revenue or whatever. So I was at, $9 and like 14 cents or something. And then YouTube were like, nope, you have to have at least 10,000 subscribers to get paid. And I was just like, no, send me the check, please. I've been like, checking it every week for, like a year. Like, oh, I'm going to get that $10. No, never happened. And who knows if I'll ever reach 10,000 subscribers. But with your help, we'll get further away from that. I do get some money from Facebook and I guess Instagram Reels. That was another thing where I was very close. They wouldn't pay you until you got to like $20 or $25. And I was like at $19. And then Facebook was like, we're not going to pay anybody for Reels anymore because the metaverse failed. And we have to cover our tracks. But then they did eventually reopen it. And I got first like $25, then I got $6. And then at the end of February, I got like $8.75. So you're looking at a paid influencer, folks. Dear God, it's been a lot. But getting back to the Mets, I did used to, rile it up on sports Twitter back in the day. It wasn't just Mets. It was, a lot of football. This was right around when the Giants were, I guess, winning their second Super Bowl, because I wasn't on Twitter in 2008 when they won their first one. Well, the first of the two. Most people are Mets and Jets fans. I'm sorry, you guys should get money from the government every year. I somehow became a Mets and a Giants fan. Why? Because the Giants were blue and the Mets were blue, so I just associated. I was like, oh, that must be our team. And my dad always watched the Jets and Giants. And, the Giants were in the Super Bowl in 1991. Just when I was becoming old enough to kind of understand what was going on. And then several years later realized, oh, my dad's a Jets fan. That sucks. So here we are. Speaking of my dad, we had Easter at my parents' house this past Sunday, and there's always too much food. My family's Italian, they're maniacs. They just, so much food, like 18 different kinds of dips. I showed up late with some other kinds of dips. No one ate it. Complete waste of time. My dad goes nuts if I eat carrots. I don't know why. There were no carrots on the table, and I asked my mom, I'm like, carrots? Yeah, you want to bring them? So I just took out a bag of carrots, and after eating all this other stuff, the gabagool and whatever it is we put out, gabagool dip, freaking Italians, very funny and weird. It was just one healthy thing. I just wanted one healthy alternative. I just want to eat my damn carrots, maintain my great eyesight. Leave me alone. Let me have my thing. And then everybody joined in. We were all eating carrots. It was great. There were some really fun discussions at Easter. Someone in my family has discovered TikTok. Someone who's way older than I am. Not way, well, if he watches this, he'll probably be offended by that. But he's older than me. He's older than the person who should be watching TikTok. But he's also very tuned into, modern things, which is cool. We're having some great conversations. First about the collapsing housing market, and then Diddy conspiracy. I'm sure you've been paying attention to all the Diddy nonsense. His house was raided. I don't know. Did he get arrested? Did he go missing? It was filled with young guys. Just, first of all, let me say, anybody who changes their name as often as he did, probably not up to good things. Just going to put that out there. There's some crazy conspiracy, I don't know if it's on Twitter or TikTok, that, the guys who supposedly killed Tupac, they basically gave up Diddy and his whole network of creepiness, because apparently he had something to do with Tupac's death, which makes sense. Because, I used to know Puff Daddy or D Money or whatever the hell his name was at the time as this guy doesn't actually even make his own music. He just forces everyone to put them in his song for, 30 seconds. So I wonder if he went to Tupac and was like, hey, let me sing, 2 words on your next album. And Tupac was like, nah. And then, oh, you're gone, buddy. But now we're getting off into weird territories. But this is the conversation that came up at Easter, which was it was fun because everybody got really involved with it, and this was while my 3-year-old niece was doing an Easter egg hunt. So great job on that. Man. So what a mess everything is. It's so okay. Let's wrap it up with this. Maybe not wrap it up with this. There's a couple other things. So we started with New York and the earthquake. What I wonder, how does this affect congestion pricing? Because that's the thing that's happening. Congestion pricing. Now, there are too many people in New York City. The way to fix that is to stop real estate companies from building all this shit that we don't need. Stop building huge buildings, places for people to live that are too expensive for most normal people to live. You're not helping anything. The city was built to maintain the population of 1924. Okay? We haven't added new roads. There's no new tunnels or bridges on the way. It's over. Stop trying to get more people to move here. COVID happened. A whole bunch of people left the city, and I feel like that lasted for about 6 weeks. And then everybody just immediately came back to, oh, it's safe to be here again, and ruined everything. So, people have to work in New York City. And I get to an extent okay, somebody from Jersey wants to be in New York City during the day of a week, during the day. Charge them an extra $5. Okay, do that. How about when people pass through the Holland Tunnel or the Lincoln Tunnel or the George Washington Bridge and they have an out-of-state license plate, they get charged an extra $3 to $5. Oh, that would help. No, instead you want to charge actual people who live here who sometimes have to be in the city during the day, or people like me and dozens of other comedians who often have gigs in New Jersey or Pennsylvania or elsewhere, and we have to drive through the city to get to those places. You want to charge us $15 to pass through the city to leave this stupid city. Can we think about this for a second? No, we won't, because it makes too much sense. But what's really important is at least the bicycle lobby got another win. Because that's what it was. I was on Twitter, and I was seeing all the people who were pro-congestion pricing, and they're all these, like, sad, simpy nerds who just want to turn New York City into Tokyo. And Tokyo's a lovely city, but this is New York, baby! Pollution and traffic. Yeah, there's too much traffic in New York. We need to do something about it. But there's also too many bicycles. Like, you gotta pick one. Like, either we're gonna be all bicycles or we're gonna be all cars. Can't be both. They can't coexist. Everyone who rides a bicycle in New York City has a death wish. I'm sorry, they do, okay? And then these city bike things need to be eradicated from the face of the earth. They're tanks. Somebody threw one of the city bikes onto the train tracks. The train hit it, and it exploded. So are people just riding around the city on bombs? It's all about just making things exponentially worse for people who can barely afford to live here. That's what the goal is. Oh, you drive a car? Well, guess what? There's less parking because this is a bus stop. This is a restaurant. It's a bike lane. We're just going to put a big rock here for some reason. So there's people who literally travel around New York City. I think they're Brooklyn-based, and they just go, here, we're going to put a big rock right here. Just on the side of this used to be a parking spot. Now it's a rock space. We need more rocks. What next? Are we just going to start putting dinosaur skeletons all over the streets of New York City? Is that what this is the future liberals want? People, I was doing a show in Brooklyn, not far from where I live, and there were people celebrating in the street because they had just gotten the entire street shut down from automobile traffic, and we're going to fill it with rocks. These people are sickos who should be locked up. So, anyway, getting back to the sports thing. I was pretty big on sports Twitter. I don't feel good about it. I made a lot of enemies. Also, I would tweet about anything in those days. And, and let's be real, Twitter sucks. I mean, it's great, but it sucks at the same time. I'm not calling it X. Sorry, Elon Musk. Back in the day, Twitter was the place you'd go, and it's still the place to go. Like, oh my God, some crazy event happened. Let me go on Twitter. If the world ends, people will be on Twitter live tweeting it. Sorry, that's what it's there for. But yeah, and let's be real. Back in the day, my funny to not funny ratio on Twitter was probably like 70% not funny, 30% funny. And, so a lot of people who I would interact with in those days kind of just got sick of me and and forever hate me. They just assume I suck at everything. I've only been doing comedy for basically 20 years and make a living doing this, but it's not because I'm funny. But then again, the entire industry kind of built on people not being funny. But then if I wasn't funny, I'd probably be somewhere. So let's just stop that. But it did get me a really cool gig. I would do Mets opening day on New York 1 from 2015 to 2019. Every morning with, not every morning, one morning a year with Roger Clark, who won't return my phone calls. I don't call him, but I might text him like once a year, probably at the Halloween parade. But I haven't been on post-COVID, and I have my theories. Actually, my main theory is I think New York 1 became more corporate, and they don't want some comedian who might make a controversial joke about the Mets or something on, or they're just going on a different direction. But it's fine. that was a cool TV credit when, exactly 3 to 5 people would be able to see you talking on TV. So I got a cool TV credit out of all my sports tweeting. And then there was this weird phase where I was like a hot commodity in the sports blogging community. I wrote for this website called Total Sports Blog. In fact, I feel like I need to get some of those blogs taken down. But no, I did I blogged about the Mets and Twitter, and then I shifted to just writing reviews of like comic book movies. And I also think I did a review of Fuller House. The last one I did, I reviewed the first Suicide Squad movie, and I kind of gave it a really scathing review, and for some reason, Facebook removed it. And that was kind of like, this is the last straw. I'm not writing reviews anymore. I don't know why. I also wasn't getting paid for it. It was something I was doing for free. And all these like blog sites that wanted me wouldn't want to pay. Like one company, I don't remember what they were called. They were called like, yeah, Sports Are Us or Sportsology. And they slid into my DMs and they were like, do you want to blog for us? And I go, are you guys going to pay? And they just went, what would you want? And like, I didn't know what I wanted. I was just like, I don't know, like $30 to $50 per blog. And I never heard back from them. And then I wrote for some specifically Major League Baseball blog site. MLB Nation? I don't remember what they were called. I think they're long gone. I think like everybody who ran this website was like 17 years old. And at the time I was like, I don't know what year this was, 29, 30, tops, 31 maybe. And so there was this like kid, I think his name was like Brendan or something. I think I'm still Facebook friends with one or two of them. And it was the off season. So they hired me for no money to write baseball blogs every week during the off season. And during the off season, there's not always something to write about. So this guy would message me every week and just write, blog this week? And I was like, next week, for sure. He goes, okay, looking forward to it. And it was really intimidating. And I felt bullied. But this was, then finally I put some stuff out. I put a couple really good ones out, and I know they really liked them. I did one where I came up with a bunch of new stats, sabermetric stats. There are these things where, it's like batting average, earned run average, what's their walks per cloudy day ratio? Like that's the new baseball stats everybody wants. So I remember I did one or two really funny blogs, and then I was like, well, this is going nowhere. Kind of like 87% of the things I've done in the last 20 years. And then the last blog I got involved with, this guy who used to do comedy named Vince Phillips was teaming up with some other guy, and they were doing a blog site. I want to say it was called like The Goat. But they only wanted positive blogs. You couldn't write anything negative about sports, but they did pay, but the thing never got off the ground. So I wrote like 5 positive blogs, which is really, because being a sports fan is all about being negative and miserable. So it was very hard to just something nice. So I think I wrote like Kevin Durant gives half his salary to like kids, and I don't even know, and A-Rod, not that bad once you get to know him. I don't remember what the blogs were, but I did get paid, and it wasn't much. I had to like meet the guy in the city, and then the thing obviously never took off because it was positive. Nobody wants to read about positivity. They want misery and anger and rage. All right, so this was a fun-ish. Yeah, we had fun. Shut up, you liked it. Please hit like, hit subscribe, leave me a comment, send me some money, or just buy a t-shirt to support the cause, the Joe Pontillo cause, Joe Pontillo Mania, coming at you live. I guess I'll drop this next week. We got some shows coming up. Thursday night in Woodside, Queens, Donovan's. I think it's almost sold out already, but check that out. And then Friday night is Michael's in Island Park, 8 p.m. show. Call them for tickets. Going to be a great show. The last two shows there have been amazing. I was supposed to be in Pennsylvania then, Saturday the 13th, but they're haters. They don't want me there. No, they changed the date, and then I couldn't do the new date. So stay tuned on that. And then there's some other stuff coming up later in April that I'm not at liberty to say. All right, thanks for watching Joe Pontillo, episode 4. Huzzah!